Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. It's Friday, March 28th, 2014. I'm Darko, my website is ggnonline.net. And this first article is actually a video. You can go in there and watch it, but it's being disseminated all throughout the alternative news cycles and stuff like that. Basically, a Democratic senator in Rhode Island says gun rights advocate to go F yourself and challenge on Second Amendment. The thing is I'm not sure if he was actually told to go F himself because he was because he was a gun rights advocate. I think it was just his method and the way he did it. The individual here, whatever, he was talking to somebody else, and the guy was like, I just caught the tail end of it, and he was like, basically, you have two mouths and no ears, or one ear, or something like that. Basically, you're talking, and you're not even listening. And that's the only thing I have against with InfoWars is you get kind of into the Alex Jones stuff and you just bombard people and you don't even let them talk, or you get too emotional. We know that Zionist Jews are definitely heavily funded in the gun control bills. Chuck Schumer, Dianne Feinstein, Rahm Emanuel in Chicago. They're very open about this too. The Chicago police actually was talking about people who are concealed carry, I think it was, who have permits. They're going to shoot first and ask questions later, so they're pretty cocky about it. I think, if anything, this just goes to show you how much the actual, quote, individual is not a part of the political process and the decision-making process. From a few days ago, grandmother gets an eviction notice labeling American flag a colored drape. An Oregon woman who was threatened with eviction if she did not remove the American flag from her front window has now been asked to place the colored drape on a flagpole. She was 58 and received a notice 2 weeks ago that she would face getting kicked out after a neighbor complained to the landlord about the colored drape, so it must have offended her. So she says the colored drape is an American flag that has been displayed for 6 years in support of her family and friends who have served in the military. So again, this should be another example of what we're actually living in, the system that we're living in and under. This woman, she believes in the whole we went to go fight and kill other people to defend our freedoms, which was a bunch of BS. So they fought for our freedoms, and this is a freedom I should have. So yeah, family members support the troops and stuff like that. Some of them are just doing whatever to serve, what they consider to be serving their country. But you can't be naive at the same point. This is what it's about. They fought for corporations, and as far as that last video and stuff like that, the only reason you have guns is because weapons manufacturers want you to have them because they make a lot of money and they lobby a lot of money to certain politicians. So if schools want to teach creationism, let them. They say it's a distracting sideshow from education system's bigger problems. So it's that implies that there's some kind of failure with the education system. Well, no, it's not, right? Most of you know it's based off the Prussian system, which basically produces obedient workers. That's right. So that's all they want. They're not about educating people in order to make them think as individuals or be able to be innovative and creators and real leaders. They just create followers. That's why one of the things they take children to the grocery store and teach them, get them the shopping carts, and teach them how to check out and use a credit card. So no, it's a success. But either way, open the floodgates, they say. Open the floodgates. Indiana becomes the first state to scrap the Common Core. So it's become the first out of 45 states opt out of the national education standard known as Common Core. So it may set a precedence, basically. Giant inflatable whale. Ultimately, it should be locally, not just state, but in cities, however they want to teach it. They should teach the way they want to teach and what they want to teach. But when those federal funding dollars come floating out of the sky, it kind of makes you more compromised to doing what you want to do. A giant inflatable whale, too religious for London Park. They wanted to put a big whale as part of a children's event on the theme of Jonah. It was turned down because of their religious nature. So says here that the reenactment of the story of Jonah had been refused because it would be too religious, so it offended people, right? You say, oh, that's that makes sense. We need to be, secular or whatever. But it's not always like that, right? Sharia law is actually going to be adopted into the UK legal system for the first time. So they're drawing up documents according to Islamic rules, which would exclude non-believers and encroach on women's rights. In Germany, too, Germany integrating Islamic lessons into public schools. This is January 2014. Authorities wanted the multicultural society to be better educated about all religions. And like I said, they've done this before. They've had them go through services and stuff like that without their parents' permission. So half the time they're not even aware of what's going on because they're too busy working. FBI dumps Southern Poverty Law Center as hate crimes resource. Pretty interesting article because I've seen this one before. The Southern Poverty Law Center's criteria for naming a hate group has been subpoenaed or was subpoenaed. Christian groups are celebrating with the news of the feds. Basically, they scrapped or scrubbed the Southern Poverty Law Center from its hate crimes webpage, where the group was listed as a resource and referred to as a partner in public outreach. Basically, they're saying that the findings of the SPLC were not consistent with trends found in the FBI statistics. Also, they claim that they've increased these hate groups have increased 63% since 2000. They also associate Christian groups that oppose same-sex marriage and all that stuff with the Aryan Nation and the KKK. So they are targeted, and they'll actually, if there's only one person, they'll say with a website talking about this stuff, they'll say they're a hate group. They'll classify it as a group, one person. Many of you have already seen this. It's not exactly news, but it's still kind of interesting nonetheless. Leaked documents, Homeland Security exercise targets free Americans against social tyranny. They say that the documents cited in the report are directly from Homeland Security to be shown to only, quote, trusted agents of the organization. Not even those involved in the exercises actually knew what they were and what they were doing. So it goes on here and it says that there was an exercise that was taking place this week. One of the components revolves around an effort to counter online dissent by a group called the Free Americans Against Socialist Tyranny, which is a disgruntled and at the imposition of martial law after an earthquake in Alaska, which was probably supposed to be like, what do you call it, a nod to HARP in Alaska. So underscores the federal government's obsession with characterizing libertarians, conservatives as some kind of extremist radical threat. According to the scenario, the campaign is driven by the suspicion that the government is responsible for the Alaska earthquake. So, but it goes on and says Northcom, along with civil authorities, has led to increased activity by some anti-government organizations, states the document. Currently, the most vocal organizations is this Free Americans Against Social Tyranny. Using social media, they advertise anti-U.S. rhetoric focusing on the DoD, as well as to recruit like-minded individuals to join their cause. Kind of finishing up here, they say the greatest threat is not just a cyber threat. It goes on here and it says that basically those that sympathize with them, sympathize with their cause, current employees. So this whole thing was actually turned over by someone that was an oath keeper. So this is the inner core worried about the kind of the in between the public and them, who do a lot of their footwork and stuff for them, keep the gears going. So Free Americans and whatever sympathizers may include both former and current members of the military in training on satellite communications, computer network defense, network operations, as well as military command and control. So there you go. Idaho family terrorized by a midnight paramilitary raid. We've been seeing a lot of these. There was military training going down in one place. I'm not sure where this exactly is, but it was a couple days ago. Basically, don't panic. Those Black Hawk helicopters and stuff. And soldiers are only a drill, they say. U.S. Department of Defense conducting routine training throughout the county on Thursday. Here's a big bag of shit for you, right? It says here, this type of training where military helicopters going around scaring the crap out of people has been conducted in different cities, basically designed to certify service members in urban environment operations for any future overseas deployments. So going back to this article, The government's preparing for implementation of a nationwide surveillance web, the militarization of our police forces, and the stockpiling of ammunition and weaponry. So they want to make you think that it was for domestic, right? Since they're not preparing for an external foreign or terrorist threat, they're doing all this for the purpose of maintaining complete control over the American people, who they have, in no uncertain terms, deemed enemies of the state. This was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where the exercise took place. And then as far as this poor guy, David and Connie Johnson, they were asleep when they heard a noise. Connie later described as the walls caving in. Seconds later, their front door was forced open, smashed open, and two armored strangers burst into the two-room apartment the middle-aged couple share with their adult son. Says other assailants were clustered behind the two who had forced open the door. One of them was a female holding a leash that barely restrained a large, snarling dog. They pointed an assault rifle at his head and threatened to shoot him. So when the female said, "Put your hands up, the dog will bite you." The guy was seized and shackled. The wife and the son were also dragged from their home. Neighbors who were drawn by the commotion poked their heads out and were ordered to go back into their homes. That was like the other incident where they were doing this exercise, and one guy was poking his head out the windows just to see what's going on, because they don't tell anybody what's going on. The guy with the sniper was like pointing the rifle at him. He's like, "I was scared shit. Blow my brains out." So at no point in this encounter did the intruders identify themselves as police officers. So a neighbor had been accused by a woman of threatening her. He was forced to crawl on his belly towards the officers in order to be handcuffed. He said, "What's going on?" They said, "You shut your mouth." So moving on here, in-car, a motion detector can tell when you have road rage and can make driving safer. So this is in Europe. Camera-based system watches your facial expressions while you drive, then uses highly accurate emotion detection algorithms to work out when you're suffering from road rage. I included it in there because I saw this article, Road Rage Revenge. Woman films aggressive pickup truck driver as he tailgates her and cuts her off before he loses control and crashes. So, he was an aggressive driver, basically tailgating her. So she basically recorded it. But he lost control, veered off the road, and hit a pole. So that's pretty crazy. They actually have pictures. There he is right there, and he's saying hello to her. And actually they show him going like this. So, just your typical American and big truck. But, one of the things I thought of, besides it being very karmic that he ended up crashing right after, because I've seen that too, where people they'll tailgate you and then they'll speed around and then they'll end up slamming on their brakes because, they'll get caught by a train or something like that. They're not really going anywhere. But also, it's, you got to think people's time is stolen. So this guy was stuck behind her for 4 minutes because she was driving slow in the rain. She couldn't move over. So it's all about your time being a very limited time in this new society that we live in, just upgraded. And like waiting in a line or something like that, you almost get you feel like kind of angst towards the people that are holding you up. The old woman cashing a check, because you feel that she's stealing your time from you, and time is precious. All we have is our time and our labor to offer these elites, and eventually they're not going to need that, which I'll get to. The shift from low-wage worker to robot worker, the minimum wage occupations. Says here, not surprisingly, telemarketers, sales clerk, cashiers, I've seen nurses, and prison guards are already in place, include basically low-wage workforce, such as waiters, waitresses, food preparation workers, and cooks. It says that the computerization of these low-wage jobs becomes feasible, and if employers find it economical to invest in such labor-saving technology, there will be a huge implication for the U.S. labor force, which means you are obsolete. Like in China, they're going to face that too once they go automated. They will. You're going to have a huge social thing going on where people need to just go, and that's probably why they're all predicting the UN that there's going to be a huge population reduction by 2050. So what makes us human scientists come one step closer to creating a human being? They say there's been progress towards creating a Homo minitus, a benchtop human. So basically they want to study how toxins affect organs. So they've already been growing human tissue in the lab and different types of organs. And they're saying that in this study, they actually have 4 interconnected human organs. They said, how long will it be before someone actually combines the 2 technologies? We're on our way to creating a human being, at least in a different way. The question is, what makes us human? The first bionic Olympics in 2016, paralyzed people will take part using a brain-computer interface. Thank you.